No. Did you push the button?
Yeah, I think we're live.
Hey, there it is. Hi, everybody. This is the Kickass Readers Podcast, Season 2, Episode 3. Okay, so the audio just kicked in, and we did get the "Did you push the button" in there. But anyway, I'm RJ Botla.
And I'm Joshua C. Chad. And today we're going to be doing a fun little cross interview where we're going to interview each other, but we're also going to be talking about the change in the podcast. And it's honestly, it's going to kind of be the death of the podcast. But from the ashes, new stuff is going to rise. So we're going to go into that as well. And actually, I guess we didn't have any fantasy or sci-fi news of the week. The news of the week is the change in the podcast. So we'll go right into it.
Wait, I got a question. It says with special guests. Who are the special guests?
We are the special guests.
Super special.
Special.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh. Anyway, okay. So Josh, pontificate gracefully on what are we doing? Why are we changing? What are we doing? Why are we changing? And
pontificate isn't that what you usually do in a toilet? Oh wait, no, that's defecate. Never mind.
That's not what I do. I don't know what you do.
That's a big word. I don't know if you used it. I'm going to assume you did.
I used it very properly.
Sweet. So, changing the podcast where it's going to stop being what it is. Just with our different schedules, with life changes for both of us, we just realized that this once a month, hour-long live video in the evenings it's just not realistic anymore. We've enjoyed it immensely, being able to do this, having you guys on, having all the guests. And we don't want to stop doing content like this because we both like to talk. And so we still want to be able to talk. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing it. That may or may kick in this summer, depending on how busy schedules get. It may or may not. We're going to plan on ending season 2 of this type of podcast in December. It's going to probably be an hour long live video where we're going to have one, maybe 2 different guests on. That's going to be, like I said, around
actual
December.
Other guests, not just me and Josh.
Yes, actual guests, not just like these kind of guests. Excuse me. And so we're going to do that end of the season. That's going to finish off season 2. But so going forward, what it's going to look like is there's going to be videos that are going to be between 15 to 30 minutes long. Most of them are not going to be live.
Well, hang on, before you go there. Basically, we're not killing the YouTube channel.
Yes.
We are just changing what content we put on it. The biggest change, like Josh is saying, we're going to do one more big live full-blown podcast, and I'm air quoting in case you actually do hear this on a podcast channel. We're going to cancel the podcast piece of it, so you won't be able to get the audio only, but you will be able to get the YouTube.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to put stuff on the Kickass Readers. Is it the Guild or the podcast channel? Kickass Readers podcast channel on YouTube.
Yes.
So it's going to be the podcast that isn't really a podcast. It's a podcast that's a YouTube channel. But anyway, so that I wanted to clear that up.
Yes, very true. I didn't specify. So we're going to keep using the channel, and what we're going to have is we're going to have 15 to 30 minute videos, some a little under, probably not many over, and it's going to be, we're going to still have creative interviews where instead of bringing on a guest to talk about a certain topic, we're going to bring on a guest and we're going to interview them, how they got started. It's going to be a lot of authors. We like to say creative because I know we've got plans for 1 or 2 different cover artists, might have editors or proofreaders on there as well. So it's just creatives in the science. It's still going to be science fiction, fantasy led in a lot of the stuff. But not as much focus. So we're going to have those creative interviews where we interview authors and stuff. We're going to have random talks between the 2 of us. That's going to be kind of more like this, where we pick a certain topic and we just discuss it. And we're
probably not going to be live, right?
Yes. No. And it might just be a 30-minute live, but it's going to be randomly in the day. And it may or may not be, but probably not. What it might be is like maybe once or twice a year, we might go live. Maybe, but most of these, no, exactly. They're not going to be live. And then we're also
random live videos in the outline. Sorry.
Oh yes, exactly. Sorry. And so those are going to be the random live videos. We might have one where like, hey, let's go live this weekend for 30 minutes. And so there might be some of those in there that are going to be like this, but most videos are not going to be as long. We're going to kind of keep them 15, 30 minutes, shorter watches, really easy to just jump on whenever, watch them. We're also going to be introducing something new because we have a lot of authors or writers who want to be authors. who subscribe to our channel and watch this and comment on stuff. And so we're going to be having author tips and tricks, things that we have discovered, from different sources and through the few years we've been doing it that has really made it easier for us. So to paraphrase, or not to paraphrase, but to go back over, we're going to have creative.
In summary is what you're trying to say.
Summary, yes, thank you. See, I'm a writer. I don't worry about my word. I'm a storyteller. I'm not a writer. Me and words have a love-hate relationship. So in summary, we're going to have author. They're mainly going to be author interviews with a few other creatives thrown in. There's going to be random talks that are going to be on a certain kind of sci-fi fantasy topic between me and Ryan. There's going to be author tips that that's either going to be maybe Ryan's going to be doing some, I'm going to be doing some that is geared towards self-published authors, and then maybe a random live video thrown in there every once in a while that who knows what it's going to be. It might be a live video where we discuss a new release. Who knows? Oh, also, we're going to be putting in, if you recently watched this last couple weeks, we're going to be putting our book trailers in this channel as well, just for Ryan and I. So you're going to get, this channel's not going to die. And if anything, you're going to get more regular content, because our goal is to kind of sit down and really batch work a lot of these videos and then be able to have something to release regularly instead of this. I don't think we've had a podcast in 3 or 4 months. So
yeah.
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot better. Just a lot better, I think.
Yeah. And I agree with you there, because it'll be regular content, coming out more or less a week, 2 weeks, a month, at least once a month for sure. We'll actually be able to publish content while Josh is in Alaska, because it will already have been recorded. And again, this may or may not happen in 2019, but definitely going forward in 2020, we'll see how we want to do this. But like Josh said, just to alleviate schedules and make everything work better with just how life is going right now. Because believe it or not, we do have lives ish.
Ish. Yeah. Yeah.
As much as I would like to just sit down and be a writer, a lot of the time there's other stuff going on, man.
Yes. It's exactly, as much as we would love this to be our full-time careers and jobs, it's not. It's fun, and it makes some money, but
it makes some money.
Yeah.
Basically paying for itself.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much most of the changes we were talking about, isn't it?
I think so. See, you pontificated well.
I pontificate.
Not pontificated. That's a whole different ballgame. Pontificate.
Defecate.
Oh my God.
So
move along before I have an aneurysm.
Let's go into the weapon of the week. So the weapon this week is a Mossberg 500, which, as you can see, it's unloaded. Just for those people, I always want to be safe. Information about this Mossberg 500. This is my Mossberg 500. I know absolutely nothing about the origin or manufacturing. It's got a tactical light on it, which also has a strobe mode for intruders. And yeah, it's a Mossberg 500. It's a shotgun. It shoots shotgun shells. And if you come in my house uninvited, you may get a firsthand knowledge of those shotgun shells. So
and the 500 is one of the most popular pump action shotguns, if not the most.
Actually, I think I already talked about it because no, you're right. It is the most common, I think, firearm in the United States, or maybe it's the most common shotgun. Either way, it's common. There's a lot of them. It's durable. It has a name behind it. It does really good. That one's really cool because it's short barreled. It's relatively lightweight till you load like the 8 shells in it. Then it gets a little bit heavier. But we just with the format of this podcast, the reason why we didn't have a news of the week or a weapon of the week, really, I mean, that was just for fun because I like showing off guns. And then it's just another reason for YouTube and Facebook to like throw our videos out.
Have they thrown one out?
No, but I could see them doing it the way this world's going right now. Oh, they got a gun in there. Oh, let's ban them. It's like, crap. So I
like that you assume we're on anybody's radar. I love that.
Yes, I am, especially. No, not really. I hope not. But anyway, so that's the weapon of the week. So we're going to get into the main topic, which we were lazy, as you can see by a lot of this stuff. Well, not so much lazy as just we've had a lot of stuff going on.
Busy.
Yeah, been very busy. And for me, I mean, I've just released the box set. I've got some world building that really been hammering down on before I get super busy this summer. And so we're just like, what are we going to do as a topic? And it's like, well, since this is kind of a video describing the change in the guild, we might as well maybe we just interview each other. Because I don't know. I mean, if you're watching this video and you haven't been in a Kick-Ass Readers Guild or haven't read or seen our works, then you probably don't even know who the hell we are. You're like, who the hell are these people? So with that, we're going to do
as we're 15 minutes into the conversation.
Yeah.
If you've listened this far, hey man or lady, I appreciate your faith and continuing with this randomness.
Yeah. Well, I did know we've gotten like 25 new subscribers in the past couple weeks. So
I'm going to take full credit for that. I probably did nothing of it, but it's
there you go. You did it. It has nothing to do with my giveaway that makes them subscribe to the podcast. It's yeah.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, but no, I think it was your idea though.
Oh, we'll go with whatever. I was just making a joke anyway.
Okay, so we probably should have done this video honestly to begin with. In the beginning of this channel, like interviewing each other so people knew who we were, but we did.
But that would require forethought and planning.
Which, yeah. So anyway, we're going to be interviewing each other. So what we're going to do?
Stacey's on. Stacey Black. I think we've got one person watching.
Hey, welcome, Stacy.
Oh no, Angel's there too.
Oh, hey, Angel.
Oh, I got to scroll up.
couple of our regulars are here.
Yes, Stacy and Angel.
Well done, guys. Welcome. And so make sure you guys commenting on the YouTube video, be dropping questions for us, because this is the whole topic of this video is Ryan and I are going to answer questions. So you could do it. I mean, you could do anything as long as it stays relatively appropriate. Anything, honestly, life. And if it's too personal, then we won't answer, which I'm an open book. You can ask me just about anything. But we're also going to be doing some, we have actually special thanks to Angela R. Watts, Billy Holcomb, and Sandy Fostick for commenting in the guild with questions. They knew they couldn't be here today to comment in the actual chat, so we're going to be answering some questions that they asked, some questions that we come up with for each other, and one of us will ask, and then the other one will answer, and then the other one will answer. So it'll just be kind of that, and we'll try and get through. Them relatively just kind of going. This video is just kind of, it might not be an hour long. It might go a tad over an hour. Actually, I don't think it's going to go a tad over an hour because I think we got scheduling stuff.
Yes. So, but first, Angel had to leave. But Stacy, I can't post in the chat. I can just see it for whatever reason. Thanks. If you have a question, I'll see it and we can ask it, but I can't respond for whatever stupid reason.
Oh, maybe because you're not hosting this one.
Maybe so.
I have to be.
No, we'll talk about it later, offline. Technical issues.
Sweet. So let's see.
You want me to ask you? I'll ask you the first question.
Okay,
so, and then we'll look at. Thanks, Billy. Lisa's looking gray. RJ, dude, this is distinguishedness right here. I grow a beard. I'm like, yes, I got a cool looking beard. What the hell is that?
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Actually, it's gone in Texas. It's hotter than by God. Yes, Stacey, that is most definitely gray. It's almost, some of it's white. I don't know why. I've got little flecks here. Little flecks. Like, I'm even talking 1 or 2 hairs, but this is just going. It's crazy. See, and this is why we love doing this kind of stuff, because we go from actually talking about something and then talking about gray hair.
Exactly. What is the best?
That is one of the parts I'm going to miss about doing all of it live. But so, Josh, what was one of the first books you read that got you interested in writing?
Okay, first books I read that actually got me interested in writing, probably Aragon by Christopher Polini, because at that time I was living in Colorado, but when he published it, he was around like 15 years old. He was from Eastern Montana, Colorado, same kind of mentality. And so I could just really relate to him, and his story really spoke to me. So definitely Aragon. Yep. What about you?
Man, I don't know, because I've been writing stories. I loved in school doing the creative writing piece. I'd always make up some crazy story and do whatever. So I don't know when I got interested. The first one that really impacted my writing was 9-day novels outlining, how to outline. And that really is where I got going and actually writing, if you will, if that makes sense. So that's a kind of a weird answer, but that's.
Yeah, well, that makes sense though, because because when I was in school, there was I loved it like when I was homeschooled. Then when I went into public school, just the public school system killed it. I didn't like writing anymore. I didn't like reading. And actually one of my teachers got me back into reading. I didn't read a book for actually a couple of years in there. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah, and especially not for fun. And then he got me back in. He gave me Aragon, a copy of Aragon, and said, "Hey, you need to read this and you need to finish it." He's like, "It's not for school, but if you don't, I'm going to find you. I know where you live." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay." And great teacher. And so, and that was actually what got me back into reading. Really got me back into sci-fi and fantasy. Well, no, that was World of Warcraft, but it also got me back into writing to where I started writing again. So, yeah.
All right.
So let's see, Ryan, when did you, well, I guess that kind of talks about when did you start writing and when did you actually publish?
Gotcha. So I started writing when I've always loved creative writing. I can remember specifically back in, I don't know what grade, but I can picture the character in my head. Don't know what his name was or what he was doing, but he was like kind of a super powered swamp thing jungle guy swinging through the forest. I remember that story. I can't tell you anything else about it other than that. But I think Against the Beast came out in 2016, so that was my first book that was published, and that's when Outbreak came out too, right?
Yeah, 2016 April, because yours was before, like, so yours was
Yeah,
16.
yeah, not very much because like actually Josh's release party was the first live video I had ever done.
Yes.
So that's when I was published, I guess. But starting writing that book, I actually had Fire Eyes Awakened almost already, or no, I had it fully written. But then I wasn't going to get it out. I needed something. I was reading that you needed a giveaway or a smaller book first, and I wanted to learn the ropes on how to do everything with a smaller book before I put the other one out. So I actually wrote that one really fast, like and published it in 6 months.
Wow.
Which is fast for me. And it's not short, but that was the first one I did. So learning it, doing all that stuff through the process that's how I did it, I guess. That's interesting. So I guess you kind of answered when did you start writing, and we kind of answered your publishing, but
yeah,
go ahead.
Exactly. So back in middle school, started writing. Actually, I was just thinking about the first story I ever wrote was when I was out at hunting camp in Alaska when I was packing when I was 15. Or at least that's the first time I actually started writing in my own world, if you will. And it was actually like, I mean, because I had written before and little random things that never caught, but that was one of the first ones. And it was anyway, so that was awesome. But yeah, I started writing back in middle school. It didn't do much elementary school, and then published 2000 April 2016. No, 17. That's why our dates are. I published in 17.
Okay. Yeah, mine was in 16, yours was in 17. Yep. That's right.
17. Got it. Yeah. So yep, published in April 2017. Because I was thinking like it's just been 2 years. And Outbreak was my first book. That was the first thing I published. I started writing that back in 2010, finished it December 2017, and then had it published by April. So yeah, I did it. That one took a long time because just I didn't know what to do with it. And before that, it was kind of funny. Before that, I started writing my fantasy book back in 2010, finished that one in summer 2016. And now I'm finally going to get it published. So that book, once I get my fantasy book published, it will be 10 years in the making. That's pretty crazy.
Minimal.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus world building. So yeah.
So Stacy just asked, did you actually review other books before you published? And I'll answer I didn't rate or review anything on Amazon ever. It was only after I got as an author, I was like, oh, this is important. So
yep.
Now I rate and review damn near everything online now.
Yep.
How about that same for you?
Yeah, same for me. I did Goodreads. I wouldn't write reviews, but I would rate them with stars just because I like to collect. So when I can get on Goodreads and collect all the books I've read and rate them, I would do that, but I didn't ever do any actual reviews. So no, not until I learned how powerful they are. And then I'm like, oh man, I need to go back and review every book I've ever read. which I didn't do, but I did do a couple that I knew. I did a bunch by like smaller authors that I knew that a review would help, even if they are traditionally published. But yeah, I didn't understand the importance till we started doing this.
Yeah. Now I'm like, crap, what have I read yet? Oh man. That's a really good question.
That's a really good question. Yes. And I got
So,
one for you. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, everybody rate and review every book you read. It can be honest. It doesn't matter what it is, what you say, or how you do it. Just rate it and review it. It's super important for authors, sellers. I mean, anything you're doing, just if they ask for a survey, just fill it out. Most of the time it's quick.
Yep. And it usually helps. I mean, you can put as small as you want. Like, I love this. Done.
Great job.
That's it. Good job. Durable. Because I've started doing that with a lot of the hunting gear that I get from places. I make sure and I go and review it because it just kind of helps them out as well. So yeah, just and I always rate stuff on Amazon when we buy it too. But, besides books.
What was going to be your question, bud?
So this is one of the ones, one of the last ones from Angela. And what is one character you've written that scared you because of how similar they are to yourself? Which I think it's kind of funny for us because you go ahead.
I have a hard time making sure characters are different. I always end up they always end up sounding like what I feel like I sound like, or how I talk, or any of that. I don't know if there's anyone that's scared me. I guess just Jayden Baird from my main series. Just because really I'm just writing it like I would be from Fire Eyes Awakened and the whole Centurions deal. I just write it like if I was actually experiencing it. That's just what I would say or do, or to do, not so much necessarily, but what I would say and how I would react in those situations, being a smart ass or making a silly comment or just being goofy. So I guess Jayden Baird.
Yeah, I just found that funny because I can definitely see you in Jayden, and so I'm just like, oh yeah, that one. And then for me, of course, I mean, my main character is literally based off of me, so
yeah,
it's not really. Which I was watching a video the other day, and they said top 25 reasons you can tell it's a novice writer when they have now they didn't say character based off of them, which I was glad because I was going to be like, hey, watch it. But they said has a character that has your same name or a very similar same name to yours. And I'm sitting here thinking like Joshua, James. Was it a new mistake? Maybe. Was it intentional? Yes. Did it do well? Yes. So there you go. You stick it YouTube video. Anyway,
you don't even know about. You're so insignificant. I can't even remember you. Didn't dedicate the brain space.
Exactly. One question going off of that one that I wanted to ask is what is one character that really made you go to dark places when you were writing and getting in their heads? Or is there one?
I don't know that I've had one yet. I know for my plans for Edgewalker that I'm going to have that at some point. But most of mine are either they're not normal or evil or full blown like demonic, but they're more of just people who want something and trying to do stuff. Or they're a monster, like literally like a raging beast, or they're a fairy creature type thing where they're just for their own goals. So no. That's the short answer. How about you?
I
think I know, but I want to see what you say first.
Yeah, so a couple of them actually.
You so say Jez?
One of course was Jez. Just trying to get in her head and then just realizing that like she doesn't even see it as bad. Another one really was Anna, and really just seeing this just like internal struggle of like her trying to hide her darkness and keep it contained, and then all of a sudden it coming out but Jez definitely she was really fun to write because I had to get into there and really get into her head and really just I wanted to make her like psychotic and
you did a good job.
Thanks. It was at first when I first wrote her in there and the end of Battleborn, I had no idea who she was or what was going on. And just she talked really weird, like really stilted and proper. And I'm like, who the heck is this character? And then to getting into Wolfpack, I did a character sheet on her, and I started realizing like she's literally mental. But no, it was fun. I went to dark places, but excuse me, it was a very fun growing experience. Yep.
Interesting. Sweet. So, what is one genre or genre? What is one genre you might write in the future?
That's okay, so I'm just gonna do a list of ones I already have planned, and then maybe branch out and say one that I might do that's kind of even weirder. So, um, I'm going into fantasy, of course. I've got plans for urban fantasy. I've got plans for more post-apocalyptic, more actually post-apocalyptic than zombies. I've got plans for um, high-tech sci-fi, space opera kind of ones, and one genre that I might write in the future that's kind of really branching out for me, it might be kind of like vampire, which is urban fantasy, but like heavily focused on vampires, like vampire novels. And that would be kind of, they're not going to sparkle around. I'm sorry. But um, so that's probably the weird, and, I know, like so a urban fantasy, but kind of like middle school coming of age story. Like I'd make it a middle school, like a middle school kid, not kids book, but like a middle school, even less than young adult book, but like this kid middle school who like gets these shape shifting powers. Um, I thought of that one when I was in middle school and completely hated my life and was like, man, I wish I could just shape shift. And so those are some of the different far out genres, because I plan to do just a full range of everything sci-fi fantasy at some point or another. What about
Gotcha. So I've got the fantasy going, epic and urban.
you?
Although I'm not sure how epic, man. If you start looking at the definitions of genres, man, I have no idea. It's
Yeah.
insane. But so I call Fire as epic fantasy. Uh, Stacy says there's 6 viewers here, which is awesome. Hey everybody, and
Wow.
can you read an excerpt aloud from your book? Maybe. So I've got that's a solid maybe, but it'd have to be fast.
Very fast.
Speed read.
Very short one.
Um, so epic fantasy. I've got urban fantasy with Edgewalker going. Um, I've got plans for kind of science fantasy. Um, maybe some lit RPG.
Yep.
Maybe some or they call that game lit too, I think. And then maybe some just random little stories. Oh, I guess not fairy tale retellings, but adopting some stuff from fairy tales into a fantasy type world.
Oh.
I don't even think I've told you about those yet.
No, you haven't. I'm sitting here like, what?
Yeah, I'm kind of keeping that one on the download. It's pretty exact.
Mm.
Oh, and then one kind of World War II based in a different world.
Yes.
So
yes.
not exactly World War II, because there'll still be some fantasy elements with different races. So fantasy World War II. How about that?
Ooh, that sounds really appetizing.
I know. Now again, I just got to find the time.
Historical fantasy retelling, like historical retelling fantasy. Like I like that.
And then I've also got plans for a couple different co-writes with different people and how those function. I don't know or how I'm at liberty to discuss yet.
Yep, same here.
So
yeah.
Always too much going on.
Yeah.
It's the reason for the podcast, not
Yep.
to make it rest in continuation, I guess.
Yeah, oh, exactly. No, that's very true. Yeah, so I kind of like it because we're both all over the board. I'm kind of sci-fi fantasy. You're like really the full genre of fantasy.
Yeah,
I like that. Like everything. That's.
I have a hard time with the sci-fi stuff. I like reading. Like I've read a bunch of good sci-fi, but I have a hard time writing it for whatever reason.
See, I would too. What I want to do with my high-tech sci-fi space exploration thing is I want to get a hold of BioWare. They made the Mass Effect games. Those are some of my most favorite games ever, and just literally play in their world. and they do that. Like an author can approach like one of these game companies, or the game company approaches an author. So I'm going to talk to them about doing either just playing in their world with all new characters. I would really like to dig into the backstory on one of their characters in the game. But anyway, so that's what I would do there, because otherwise I'm not going to go to the time to creating spaceships and flux drives and that kind of hyper stuff.
So Whit McClendon just posted testing. And then Safety Black says, please don't game lit. I can't read them.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I love playing games.
It just depends. Yeah, depends on how we're going to. But hey, Stacey, if we write it, it'll be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Just think about that. Okay, so this is one of the questions. Thanks, Angela, for those questions. Now we're getting into a couple from Billy Holcomb, and one he asked was, how do you plan the end game? And I assume he means the end game of a book and a series. Do you is it from the beginning, or is it ever changing based on the direction of each book? That's a good question.
Billy Holcomb says The Land is epic, and that is a good book.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So mine is, I'm an outliner. So the book, for sure, before I start writing the book, I know kind of the end game. The series, Whit McClendon says plan. What does that mean? Me and him have an ongoing discussion about that. I've semi-converted him, like I've semi-converted you onto at least maybe kind of possibly using an outline.
Yeah.
But he says darned outliners.
So Wit's a pantser too?
Whole total pantser.
Oh yeah.
He tells me
you're awesome, buddy.
He's got to see it in his head like a movie, and then he'll write it down.
Yes. No, that's how a lot of stuff, how a lot of my scenes play out is in my head first.
Yeah. Chat box will make me laugh. Whit said, I admit nothing. No outline. Oh, shoot. So, but a series, so it depends on the series I've written. I'm tending more to plan the whole, at least a partial end game. What I usually do is have an outline on, well, I'm gonna take Edgewalkers. That's the one I've really planned the series for.
Yeah.
Is I've got an idea for several of the books and the milestones I want to hit along the way and where I want it to end. So mostly so I can foreshadow crap in the beginning and each book. That's the main reason I do that. But like for the Centurion series, I actually don't know how I'm going to finish book 4 yet, which is kind of weird. Book 3 I've got fully outlined, and I just got to put I've got a fully expanded outline too. So now I've just got to flesh out the scenes.
It's a big outline.
Josh has seen it and read it, and he's like, hurry the hell up.
Yeah, I know. No crap. It's like I've read the expanded outline. I'm just like, where's the book? Where's the book, Ryan? You have no excuses.
I have no excuses. No, none. Except that I don't have a butt in a seat to do it. Got too much other crap. That's just be ridiculous. Anyway, so that's me. Josh, how about you?
So a little bit of everything. I'm realizing we're gonna go back to Sanderson said it. I was actually watching Brandon Sanderson taught a BYU. I don't even know what university that is. Some university in there. He taught
Brigham Young University.
Their creative writing.
Sometimes you amaze me with the crap you don't know, and then what you do know a whole lot about.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything college wise. Whatever. I mean, we're watching the NBA finals, and Dad's like Steph Curry, and he's like the only player I know, and in those games is Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, and he's not even in. But everybody else is like, oh yeah, you know so and so. I'm like, never heard of him. Never heard of him. Is he from a video game? Is he from a movie?
Is it Michael Jordan from Space Jam?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I digress. Sanderson was talking about in that class, like there's these two different types of when you're pantsing. He called it developers and outliners. And he's like, everybody's going to have a little bit of tendencies of each. Like there's very few full on of either. But what I'm realizing is he said each project needs a little bit different take. So for me, it depends on the project, because I've written just that one series. When I did the Brothers Creed, if you guys watched the live video, I had an idea for the ending of the series when I started book 2, but as the books went, I didn't know how each book was going to end. And usually when I did have an ending, wasn't the ending that I thought it was going to be. And it ended up changing. When I'm looking forward at my next fantasy book, I've got the end of each. I've got the whole first book planned out. I've got the whole second book planned out. Like my version of an outline is a half a page in Word. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. That's literally it. I've got milestones that I follow is basically it. And then I've got an end to the series, but I don't know what the end is. Like I've got an idea on how I want it to end, but not exactly the end of it. So it depends on the project. Yeah, it depends on the project. And it does tend to change. Like I said, with my books, especially the Brothers Creed ones, they changed a lot. The books themselves, the endings changed a lot as the book went on. And I realized like, oh, this is where it's supposed to end. I thought I was going to have another 3 chapters in here, or like, hey, I need, yeah. So it all depends. Really does.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you come up with new characters without influence from previous characters you've written about?
I like this question, Billy. This was a phenomenal question. That's a very good question. I've actually got to think about it because I'm sitting here thinking about a lot of my main characters, and the thing is, within a series, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of similar characters, but when you jump from different series, I think it's okay to have some characters that have similarities, because I'm planning out my fantasy series, and I've already got plans for it's a Tank-esque character. So he's still that kind of jovial, kind of not jovial, but like joking, but gets down to business kind of character. And my main character is going to be, well, he's different. So it's hard to answer. Honestly, that's really hard to answer, because I'm also thinking about future series, and I'm like, oh, that main character is going to be very similar to this main character, is going to be very similar to this main character. And so it's like, how am I going to make them unique?
It's interesting.
What,
I
what about
think
you,
I
Brian?
think every I think everything you do and read kind of influences what you're going to write. Um, so I don't think it's ever fully exclusive of everything you've written or read before. And so, like in my Edgewalker books, Gunnar Hext is a lot like Jim Butcher's main character in the Dresden Files,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. It's not exactly the same because it's written in my voice. It's how I would. No, not my voice, but I guess my voice, my pen, if you will.
Yeah.
It's just a slightly different take on how stuff does. He's a little maybe this way or that way on different issues, but I think they all influence each other slightly.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to like you're saying, make sure it's not the same. Okay, this guy's name is Jayden, now his name is Jayton, and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
just the same character exactly.
Yeah.
But I also think not changing your voice too much, especially me, because I write a lot of first person. It helps
Mm-hmm.
people stay in it, right?
Yep. Yep.
If they like the style you write, and if you like how that goes, and I'm kind of speaking more for first person here, then it keeps a consistent voice, if you will. But I've written enough third person that you can keep the style the same and the characters can change,
Yes. Yeah.
and it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Exactly. And because it does take work to make sure that you are making sure your characters are different. And what I like to do now, this is just kind of characters in general, really, to get in their heads, is I do character sheets now. And I'm actually I'm world
Now
building.
who's a nerd? I don't do
Hey, I
character
love it.
sheets.
You do?
That's basically outlining, man.
Yes, and I love it. Just like, that's the thing. I'm realizing I got to have a direction. Otherwise, my story will go here. And then all of a sudden, instead of fighting zombies, they're fighting
Squirrel.
space aliens with laser swords. And it's supposed to be a Brothers Creed book. And so I definitely got to have a direction to go in. So I've started doing character sheets. And it's fun. And then I'll have like a little, I'm going to start doing a little journal entry from the character to really, really get into their head and their voice. And so because I figure out what their main motivations are, their fears, their hopes, their dreams, and their past. And that really gives me a grasp on the character before I ever start writing them. And then what I found out sometimes is, we can comment on that in a second. What I found out sometimes is once I start writing them, I get it by about the middle, I get a really good idea on what I want them to be like. And I have to go back and kind of change them to line up with that. So what's the comment?
Whit said character sheets, not a bad idea. Still not outlining though. But I agree. The character sheets is a good idea.
I love it.
I think I'm probably gonna adopt that principle for future series, just because it helps keep everybody separate.
Yes, and it's world building for characters. Like that's what really helped me get into Anna's head in Wolfpack was I did a character sheet on her and realized that she had a lot more hand in the darker side of the mafia than I had ever thought. Once I did her background, I was like, oh, I can take her to some cool places then, because it makes sense why she seems normal in book 1 and 2, because that's all a facade, and then really underneath you just have this character that's in major turmoil. So yeah,
Great.
character sheets, love them.
Nice.
Also Jez's head too. Anyway, so we've got, this is one of my favorite questions. Well, do we have any comments or answers from questions from?
No, I've been putting them out as we go.
Sweet. This is one that thanks Billy for those questions. We're into some ones from Sandy Fostick, and this one is always I love talking about future projects. So how are each of your respective new projects going, and when do you each plan to release your next book?
Okay, so I said a second ago, but I'll repeat it, that I have the extended outline done for Relics of Eldur. I actually put that in my last email, so I can. That's book 3 of the Centurions. I sent that to Josh in maybe a video chat or something, and he's like, "Oh my god, I love that name." Yes. And you're welcome, Billy. You're welcome for answering the questions. Thanks for asking them, man. Mm-hmm. So that one, man, I would love to say I'm going to put that out in September, but I guarantee it's probably going to be by November, December by the time I get it done. I'm just going to be not be ridiculous on it. Then after that, I want to do book 4. Probably going to take another year. I'm just going to be honest here. That's just how that series is going to go. But I'm going to try to do an Edgewalker between there. I've kind of altered my plans for how I want to do the Edgewalkers. I was going to do like 4 seasons of 10 shorter books, but I think I'm going to lower it to about 5 books and still 4 seasons, if you will. So,
so each one is longer.
Each one would be longer. Whit says RJ the slacker. We'll go with I don't disagree. I vehemently disagree and agree at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe I will dress as Santa, Billy. He says, "Merry Christmas. Here's my book. RJ dressed as Santa." Maybe so.
I like it.
No, I do have a sweet Christmas jacket I might wear. But anyway, so that's the Edgewalkers. I'm going to try to squeeze some in there. I've got another couple of projects that I'm going to be working on that I've already signed up for that I've got to get in there. But again, I can't talk about. I know, sorry for the super secrecy, but I have been sworn to super secrecy on them. So once they do go, it'll be cool. And then I've got 15,000 other series planned that I don't have time to write yet. Yep. So that's me. How about you, Josh?
So project's going good. It was really nice to get out the box set, which if you haven't yet, go buy it. It's still on sale for 99 cents, all 5 books. Shameless plug. And I feel bad for giving it away for 99 cents. So you guys should really go buy it before I get a wild hair and be like, I can't do this. I need to put it up to $29.99. Not really. But anyway, now that I got that box set done, I've really been able to start focusing on my fantasy, and I'm going through and I'm hammering out some of the world building details. By no means is it going to be a very thorough world building, but I've got quite a few pages. I've probably got 20, once I get it all written out, 20 to 30 pages in Word. It's all in a OneNote. But so I'm rocking on the world building. I'm getting ready to do some character or redo some character sheets to start the series, and also doing up a map. So I hope to start writing the actual series, which is a trilogy with 2 prequels. Hope to start writing it in Alaska. I'm really going to try this fall to actually get some writing done when I'm up there. So I'm doing that. Realistically, when is your next release? You guys aren't going to like this at all. So one thing is, I've got an anthology that I'm part of, the Dragon Band one, Women of the Crystal Coast. That comes out in
June. Out now?
Yeah, here pretty close, I think. Maybe middle of the month.
It's available for pre-order, and I'm in there too, actually.
Yes.
Which is way more important than Josh being there, to be honest.
So you guys, what was that?
I said, which is way more important than Josh being in there. And I was like, yeah, he didn't even catch that. He's like, wait, I heard my name.
Your story was pretty good. So you guys definitely need to get that because that was I know I've only read Ryan's story. I haven't read any of the other ones. But I know my story I had a lot of fun with diving into somebody else's fantasy world. And I know Ryan's is really good, especially if you like that old school dungeon diving RPG kind of feel. You'll love it. So get that.
Thanks, man. Yours
No
is good
problem.
too, by the way.
Well, thanks. It was fun. I like that project. That was different playing in somebody else's world. It was
Yeah, it was different. It was interesting though.
yeah, it's like you're writing something and you're like, wait, can I do this? Hey Joel, is this allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
do this?
Okay, sweet. Okay, she gave over coins. Hey Joel, is there a money system? No, it's all in barter. Shoot. Okay, how do I do this? so it's it was a lot of fun. But honestly, my own books, I'm going to try and get in some anthologies here. Probably not going to have time this summer, maybe some ones early this winter, because in realisticness, I'm not going to have anything out till 2020. And if I can, yeah. And if it is 2020, it's going to be mid 2020, unless I can rock out some fantasy books in Alaska this year, which fantasy's always been easier for me to write. It is actually my first genre. Like it is my first initial incline to write is fantasy. But you're going to have to be waiting for upwards of a year to get the next one. So, yeah, kind of sad. But when it does, they're all going to. Now, with that being said, I'm going to write all the books at once and then I'm going to release them in short order. So you got to wait a long time, but then you're not going to have to wait long in between books. I like what you're doing there, Ryan. I'm not sure what it is.
I'll just see what you would say. Stacy says links for the Dragonbane book, so we'll put that somewhere.
Yes, we'll put it in the description of this video afterwards, and we'll also put it in the guild for you guys.
Yeah.
So most of the watchers are probably in the guild. Okay, we got. Let's see. We'll have to probably wrap this up in the next 5-10 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, we've got enough time. Good for one more question, maybe a couple, if we can answer them quick. So this is the last one from Sandy. What are each of your favorite books, series outside of your own world?
I love the Terry Brooks. Oh no, I gotta say Jim Butcher. I forgot.
I was gonna say, don't forget about
Dresden Files. Yep. Nope. Sorry. Terry Brooks is my favorite more epic fantasy, but I love the Dresden Files. That's hands down. I love Harry Dresden and his smart ass detectiveness. So
yes,
that's easy answer for me. I always so half the time I forget about it because I'm like, oh, we got that should be everybody's favorite.
It should be.
So yeah, that's me.
Mine is definitely anything and everything Brandon Sanderson. I really like his Mistborn. Both series of his Mistborn series. Way of the Kings is really good too, but I really like his Mistborn. Top of the list too is Christopher Paolini's Inheritance series, although I really hated how he ended it. And then also R.A. Salvatore's Drizzt series. Phenomenally written characters. It's set in the Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms world, but just the combat scenes are what I love. He just writes the combat scenes in such a fluid and yet technical way. I can see blow by blow what is happening. And that's what I try and emulate in my fantasy writing too. So hopefully it comes out. Okay.
What's your biggest challenge?
Yes, I like that. My biggest challenge in writing. Now I'm going to do two, one in writing, one in, authoring. So biggest challenge in writing is okay. I'll do authoring first. Biggest challenge in authoring is making sure I have a somewhat regular and good social media engagement or posts. Like here lately, in the last couple of days, I've been getting on Facebook and my emails once every 2 or 3 days, which has been awesome. But I kind of need to have a little bit of a presence. That's what I was looking for. A little bit of a presence there, just because I want to be, especially now that we're not doing as many of these, I want to be involved with you guys and be able to stay in touch. But at the same time, especially now that I'm world building in fantasy, I literally want to lock myself in this house and do nothing else and just world build and write fantasy books. So that's probably
nothing else.
Authoring. What?
Nothing else? Not even breathing?
Me breathing, eating, predefecating. And
Where's the palm face emoji?
yeah. In writing,
Are you talking like the technical aspect of it? Like
yes,
actually,
now technical aspect of writing, or more, I would say creative. I don't know, maybe certain characters, like making sure minor characters are fleshed out when I start. Because usually as a pantser, as a developer, my characters usually get fleshed out as I write. And so then I got to go back in and kind of spruce them up at the beginning. So maybe fleshing out minor and secondary characters. In the actual typing and stuff, I hate grammar and I don't care about grammar. That's why I pay an editor and I use Microsoft Word and Pro Writing Aid.
yes.
So that's me. What about you, Ryan?
So the biggest challenge for the author business part, or as Josh calls it, authoring, which I like.
There you go.
Hardest part for me is finding the time to sit down and actually do the author business stuff. Just with a day job and kids and wife and life and a dog and da 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 da. It's a challenge sometimes. Stacy says you need to schedule posts in advance, Josh. And Whit McClendon, I think he said he typed it in his announcer voice. It says, Jim Butcher, go, Dresden, go. That's how I read it anyway. So, which speaking of urban fantasy, not really, but Whit has a badass new urban fantasy book out that I've told him this. I think it's the best book he's written.
Wow.
I liked his fantasy really. I liked his fantasy a lot. But this one I couldn't stop. Like I was like, scroll, come on. I want to see what happens. And I told him that too. So kudos with anyway. So yeah, finding the time, not trying to do too much is a challenge for me because I see something and I want to jump on it. And Josh and I have had this conversation at length. That's why he's laughing so hard.
With all kinds of different stuff and projects. Yes,
which is pretty much how this damn podcast got started. And then somebody opened their big fat mouth.
Hey, let's do a podcast. Okay, next month we're doing a podcast. 2 years later, we're like,
maybe we should back off a little bit. But it has all been good, and it has all progressed us to where we are, and the ability to recognize that we need to change it and adapt to what we need to do, I think shows maturity on both our parts and growth. And I'm kind of impressed with us. I'm not going to lie there. The sound of one man giving two men an applause. But as far as the technical piece of writing, I too hate grammar as well also. And that's another reason, like, we have editors, and that's nice. But the good thing about the English language is you can damn near say anything and it can make sense.
Yes.
But man, in the technical part of the writing, I guess my hardest part is not making all the characters sound the same or like me. That's hard for me in the writing piece. But that's it. What's the funnest part? Is it the most fun or the funnest? It doesn't matter. See, there it is, English language. Funnest, I don't think it's actually a word, but most fun. But anyway.
Funnerest. What is the most funnerest?
I like that.
The most funnerest part for me. I can't even say that word and not start laughing. Okay. Now that I've started world building has been super awesome because it's been awesome. And then also writing my fantasy. That is by far the funnest part. I'm sorry, Brothers Creeds fans. I love those books. If you like those books, strap your butts in your chairs because my fantasy stuff is going to be so much better because I like the Brothers Creed. I had fun doing it, but I love my fantasy stuff. So anything my fantasy, that's my funnest. I mean, literally anything. So go ahead.
I'm going to give a two-part answer. One of my favorite things to do is actually draw the map for a fantasy world.
Ooh, I agree too. Yes.
So that's my single funnest thing.
Most funnerest
thing. And then the other is doing the outline. Because that's my creative part, man.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. It's a problem. But I actually like it. Like I said, that's my creative part. Oh, there's the dog. Hey, shh. But yeah, that part. Give me 1 second. Continue on something.
Sweet. I can do that. Okay. So, to put it in perspective, how much I love writing my fantasy stuff. I don't know if everybody stopped watching now that Ryan's gone, but I'm going to just keep talking. So Outbreak, or let's do Battleborn. It took me 10 days to write about 50,000 words. When I wrote my fantasy prologue thing, I did 35,000 words in like four or 5 days. So I mean, just whipped it out. That's how much I love my fantasy. Anyway, so let's go on to the next section real quick. What are we reading and listening to? I am currently beta reading Bob Malden's second book, Spheres of Influence. If you haven't read Legacy, you need to go read it because everybody who's reading it, or no, I lied. Wait a week and then go read it when I have the new edited version up because everybody's loving it. Listening to, I have been digging like Beast in Black is a band I discovered. Actually, my brother showed me, and they're kind of like 80s rock, but it's like that fantasy rock where they sing about like fantasy stuff, kind of like Dragon Force, and it is just epic. So I've been rocking out to some Beast in Black. That's what I've been reading, listening to.
Nice. Wick McLennan says, "Holy crap, that's a lot of words." And Stacy said, "RJ the secret scrapbooker." Kind of wish I hadn't said that one on the air, but okay. I'll put that in my scrapbook. So what I've been reading, I've been trying to get through Lord of the Rings, all 3 of them, the whole series. I'm 75% through. So then I can have checked that off the box of I have done that. I'm almost there. Been listening to a lot of Mumford and Sons. They got a new album out it's really good. It's really good.
Yep. Now, do you think it's as good as their old stuff?
I think it's just as good. It's just different.
Fail. So their newest album,
your brain.
Yeah, their newest album I liked it better. There's 2 or 3 songs I really like on there. Their second to newest one, absolutely trash. Just throw it right in the trash and defecate on it. Oh yeah. When they changed their style from like bluegrass folk to this techno bullshit, no. Get out of here.
I guess I can't remember what the second one sounded like.
It was horrible, probably because you didn't like it too. But their newest one, I did like a few songs off of it. Yes, I do like them as a band too, especially their old stuff. Yeah. Love their old stuff.
Yeah, they're like their original cult. I guess their first album.
First 2.
Great album.
Yep.
Their first 2. That's right.
Yep.
Sweet. So all right. So go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. So what are we thankful for, man? You wrote this down, so I'm not going to steal it, but
well, you can kind of steal it because we're both. I mean, we're both thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, just that we have awesome readers and fans. That I got a badass email from a fan, and I wish I could remember who it was. That just basically said, "Don't stop writing. You're doing a great job. These books are awesome." So
yeah,
that's really cool to hear, no matter how many times you hear it. So
yes,
that's I'm thankful for you guys and gals because y'all allow us to do this.
Yes.
And thankful for the podcast, even though it's changing. It has allowed us to come to a realization on a lot of different stuff. Brought me and you closer together as friends, and have moved through life, and I guess kind of changed us and did what we needed it to do, and now we're adapting it to continue on. So
yeah. Yeah, no, and since I'm the one who actually wrote that down, thank you, Ryan, for stealing it. No, I'm kidding.
I did admit it.
No, you did, and I gave you permission. No, so no, just really thankful for fans and readers, and especially you guys who made the podcast possible. I mean, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. I mean, we love to talk, so we still talk. I mean, you guys don't see the multiple phone calls, usually a day, of us just randomly throwing back world building ideas and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it has brought us closer together. I really feel like I'm a lot more comfortable on air. Just get right into it. I used to be nervous for a little bit. Now I'm just pretty much like, screw it. They get me and they can either like it or they can shove off. But anyway, just really thankful for you guys, just specifically the podcast and the guild members. It's been really fun to get more engaged with you guys and do these live videos on here, on Facebook, be involved in the guild. And then of course, all the awesome, like Ryan said, all of our readers make this possible. And when they send us like an email that just says, "Hey, love your stuff. Don't stop writing." It just, I mean, that's what we do it for. We can get we could probably get 100 hate emails. And as long as we get that one good one, that's enough that just upsets all those other BS. So yeah, just really thankful for you guys and all the awesome support we've gotten. Yep. So
Concur.
That's the end of that. So in closing, tune in next time in December for the next podcast. You only have to wait.
I'm not saying that, Billy. I am not saying that. Actually, I'm going to because it's funny. It says, without the live vids, we would have seen RJ's love for sparkle vampires.
Yes. Who put that in?
Billy Holcomb. But
he did,
also,
yes.
y'all need to read the second read Fangs in the Edgewalker series and see if you catch something about sparkly vampires in there.
Oh, I don't even know if I caught it.
No, Tiger did, and I think Wit did.
I'll have to read it.
People, it's right at the first because he's fighting a vampire right at the first. So
yes,
check it out.
No, you're right. You're right. Yes, when he's in the warehouse.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah. No. Yes. Thank you for reminding us, Billy. I love it. Yeah. So tune in next time in December. 6 months, going to be a long wait. In between, we might have some stuff coming out. No promises because I know on my side of things, this summer is getting more and more busy as it goes. And then thanks again for listening. If you're listening on the podcast side of it is probably going to be going away here shortly. When we got to renew all of our subscriptions and stuff. Thanks for watching here on YouTube. Make sure to stay subscribed, like the video, because we will be doing more with this channel in the future. There will be some changes, but it's really going to bring you some better content, I think. So make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hold tight because we got some awesome stuff in the future.
Agree, man. And like Josh really just said everything, man. Podcast is probably good. Dude, no, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But keep involved in the Facebook group and in the guild. We'll post a bunch of stuff there with our Facebook pages. Follow the video, subscribe it, tell your friends, your mama, everybody, tell them to subscribe too. And really, we're gonna do that one in December. But man, this is kind of the last hurrah for the podcast style podcast. Yep. So I'm RJ Botla saying thanks.
And I'm Joshua C. Chad. We'll see you guys later.